Welcome to the College Admission Collaborative, highlighting engineering and technology virtual college fair. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. Before we get started with our presenter, just a few quick housekeeping items. The first is that attendees are welcome and encouraged to ask questions to the panelists at any time utilizing the Q&A feature. Also, just a reminder that your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists will not be able to see or hear you. There is one other block of sessions this evening, as well as sessions tomorrow, so please do sign up for those if you haven't already done so. And about 1 week from today, a recording of the session will be available on that same registration website. Without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and hand it over to our presenter, Trinity College.
Thank you everyone for tuning in this evening for this presentation, evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you might be in the world. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all. Just 1 second. Ooh. Apologies, folks. There we go. All righty. My name is, just to introduce myself, my name is Emily Petersell. I'm an Associate Director of Admissions at Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut. Again, thank you for joining me. As I walk through this presentation, I am welcoming you to start submitting questions through the Q&A as you think of them. So I do plan to have some time at the end of my presentation to answer your questions, but if you think of a question in the moment, please feel free to drop it in. If I see the questions come in and they're timely, I might try to answer them in the moment. If I can't answer it in the moment, I will answer it at the end of the presentation. So feel free to put those questions in at any time. But without further ado, let's get started. So Trinity College is a small liberal arts and sciences college located, as I said, in Hartford, Connecticut. Hartford is the capital city of Connecticut. We're very proud of our identity as a small liberal arts college in an urban capital city. We were founded in 1823. So we are almost 200, not quite. We will be 200 in the year 2023 in just a few short years. We are already planning our birthday party, just so you know. So if you're a current high school student looking to go to college in the next couple of years, if you come to Trinity, you could actually be part of the 200th birthday, the bicentennial celebration. So just something to keep in mind as you're looking at colleges. We are a small community of about 2,100 full-time undergraduate students. For a small student body, we are pretty diverse, in particular in terms of our geography. We have students who come to us from 47 different states around the US, as well as, actually this slide says 76 countries, but we are, with our newly admitted students, on target to actually go above 80 different countries that are represented on our campus. So we are very much a global community. So this is the agenda for today's presentation. I want to walk you through some features of a Trinity experience, including the academic experience, a little bit about our campus community. I do want to talk about the real world learning benefits that come with being in the city of Hartford. I think Hartford, for me, is the biggest distinguishing factor of Trinity College and a Trinity College education. So if you ask me what makes Trinity unique, I'm always going to say location, location, location. And so we will talk about that a little bit. And then finally, I'll wrap up by giving you just a couple of details about our admissions and financial aid processes. And then of course, I will open it up for your questions. So let's get started with academic experience. So as a liberal arts college, there's a lot to choose from that you can study at Trinity. We do have 41 different majors and 28 minors. I should mention, I know that the students on this call are specifically focused on STEM education. So I promise you, I'm going to walk you through the general academic experience, and then I'm going to talk a little bit specifically about some more of our STEM offerings. But to kick us off, we have 41 majors and 28 minors, but you don't have to declare your major at Trinity until partway through your sophomore year. So when you apply to Trinity College, you're not applying to a specific major or specific program, you're just applying to be a member of the college more broadly. And once you get to Trinity, all majors are open to you. So no matter what you're thinking about studying, no matter how much academic preparation you've had in that particular field before coming to Trinity, anything that you want to major in, you can major in, and we will help you take the right course sequence to get on that pathway. But for those first 3 semesters at Trinity, you actually have a lot of flexibility to take classes in different areas. So if you come in knowing I really want to study chemistry, I'm a chemistry major, I'm a chemistry student, you can start taking chemistry courses right away. You can declare your major earlier than sophomore year. But if you're not really totally sure what you want to study, or I know I want STEM, but I'm not sure exactly what I want in STEM, you have that flexibility to take those different kinds of classes. Every student at Trinity in their first year participates in either a first-year seminar course or a gateway program. A first-year seminar is an introductory course. It's a small seminar-style class, so a discussion-based class. It's capped at 15 students. And it's basically a course that's designed to give you a little bit of a crash course in college-level work and expectations. So through your first-year seminar, you'll be studying a specific topic. The topics are all different. So we offer first-year seminar courses in all of our different departments. So you could take one that is in a STEM field, you could take one that's outside of a STEM field, but all of the courses are different topics, and you get to sort of take a deep dive in that area with your classmates, those 14 classmates, and through that course really learn about things like academic supports on campus, writing supports on campus, and you'll also have a first-year mentor who's an upperclassman student at Trinity who works specifically with your seminar on giving you tips about Trinity. So some of those are academic tips, but they'll also give you tips like what's the best thing to eat in the dining hall, or what's the best time to go to the gym when it's not so crowded, and things like that. Gateway programs are a little bit different from first-year seminars in that they're sort of specialized programs for first-year students who come in knowing that they want to take a deep dive in a specific area. A good example of that, which I'll talk about on the next slide, is our Interdisciplinary Science program. So we will take a closer look at that. But gateways and first-year seminars, you do one or the other in your first year. All Trinity students are required to get a well-rounded education. Again, we're a liberal arts college. We expect you to be doing that well-rounded humanistic inquiry. So in order to do that, every student takes at least one course in each of our 5 distribution requirement areas, which are arts, humanities, natural science, numeric and symbolic reasoning, and social science. I want to emphasize that this doesn't mean that you have to take the same art class as anyone else or the same natural science class as anyone else. We have over 900 courses to choose from in our Trinity course catalog, so there's a ton of flexibility for how you choose to fulfill these requirements and what types of classes you take to fulfill them. We also encourage you, if you would like to take more than one class in any of these areas. So if you are a STEM student, right, you take that intro level chemistry course, automatically you're going to knock out that natural science requirement. But if you're a chemistry student who is also interested in film studies, you can take multiple film studies courses. You could even choose to double major in film studies, and that's totally a possibility at Trinity. Every student is also required to take at least one course with a global focus or to participate in a study abroad program. Studying away is extremely popular at Trinity. In a typical year, about 60%, usually about 60% of our students study away before they graduate from Trinity. So that's sort of the typical rate. So that means that more than half of our students are engaging with study away opportunities. So that means that as an institution, we're really well equipped to help support you if you want to go abroad. So whether you're interested in going away for a year or just a semester, if you're interested in studying away at an international location or one of our domestic locations, there are a lot of options to choose from, and we can help you work that into your plan. So even if you're doing a rigorous course like engineering, you can be an engineer at Trinity and study abroad. So that's very important to know. Last thing that I want to mention is that every student at Trinity does do some type of culminating research project, which would be a senior capstone project, writing a senior thesis, or taking a senior seminar course in their major. So this is your sort of sort of the final exclamation point on your academic experience, if you will. It's a big research project that you do that's sort of you making your academic mark on the institution. For certain majors, they will not give you a choice. You will have to do one of these three. So for example, if you are an engineer, you are required to do the senior capstone project, and you're required to do a hands-on engineering project as your final research experience. For other majors, they might require you to write the thesis, depending on what your major is. I do have a question that's come into the chat about studying away. Can pre-med students study abroad? Yes, absolutely. I know pre-med students at Trinity who have studied away. And again, it's just about that flexibility. So one of the great hallmarks of a liberal arts education or liberal arts college is that it's highly customizable, right? So we're a small community. That means that we have the capacity to work with students as individuals and to help them figure out, how can I balance my pre-med requirements with a study away experience? How can I make sure that I can fit all the engineering courses in while also balancing my schedule as a varsity athlete, right? So it's really about that whole student experience. And we do want all of our students, including our STEM students, even though they're engaging in very rigorous curriculum, to have opportunities to study away, to be an athlete, to join lots of clubs and organizations, to double major or minor in a field that isn't necessarily related to their STEM major. And so you would have all of those opportunities at Trinity. So I want to talk a little bit more specifically about our STEM offerings. So I mentioned the Interdisciplinary Science program in passing on the last slide. So the Interdisciplinary Science program is one of our gateway programs. So if you're a student who's coming into Trinity knowing right now you're really gung-ho about STEM, you really want to take a deep dive in STEM and be a STEM major, this might be a program you would be interested in. So we call it ISP. So ISP is an innovative academic program that's really designed to broaden and enrich the study of science and math by having students explore the links between different scientific disciplines and their connections to the world. So it's not about any one specific STEM major. If you are thinking about engineering, chemistry, biology, neuroscience, environmental science, whatever it might be, you could be in this interdisciplinary science program. Basically, in the first semester of ISP, you do a seminar course as a cohort. It's a small sort of discussion-based seminar. And then actually in the second semester of your first year, you would engage in a research project with one of our faculty members or with upperclassmen students at Trinity. So through the ISP program, you actually do get access to start doing scientific research in your first year. In addition to that, we also offer students in the ISP program an opportunity to engage in a summer internship or summer research between their first and second year as well. So this is a selective program for highly motivated students in math and science. When you apply to Trinity, if you get admitted to Trinity and you've expressed an interest in STEM, you might also get a follow-up invitation to join our ISP program. And so this is something that is there for you. But I should mention, you do not by any means have to do the ISP program to be a STEM student at Trinity. I know lots of STEM students who did not do this program, either because they weren't invited, I mentioned it is a small selective program, or because they weren't really sure that they wanted to do STEM right away. So they took that time to explore, they took a first year seminar course, and then eventually made their way into a STEM major. So this is not a requirement, but it is an opportunity. I have here for you our majors in STEM. So as you move from your first year into your second year, you would have to think about declaring your major. We have 10 different majors in STEM fields. You'll see that some of these we also offer as minors. Program that we're particularly proud of is our engineering program. So Trinity is one of only a handful of small colleges. I think there are maybe 15 small liberal arts colleges out there in the United States where you can get a fully ABET accredited engineering degree and still get that small liberal arts college experience. So we are one of those colleges. So our engineering department is small but mighty. It is a very rigorous program for sure, but it's a great program. The professors there in that department are extremely supportive of students and really work to help them get internships, research opportunities, and so on. So if you're interested in engineering, but you also want to get that well-rounded experience, Trinity could definitely be for you. Some of our other more popular STEM majors on this list would include biology, environmental science, and neuroscience. So neuroscience is actually one of our fastest growing majors at Trinity. We attract a lot of students in the neuroscience field, partially I think because our president, Joanne Berger Sweeney, is a neurotoxicologist. So as a neuroscientist herself, she actually still teaches in the department from time to time. And as I mentioned too, I want to just emphasize again, because we don't admit directly to program, if you get admitted to Trinity, all of these majors would be open to you. So when you apply to Trinity, even if you know right now that you want to do engineering, you wouldn't be applying for engineering. You wouldn't be applying up against other engineering students. And we don't have any specific curriculum prerequisites for you to be in any of these programs. So for example, we don't require students to come in with calculus in order to be engineers at Trinity. We have students who come into Trinity with all different levels of math and science preparation who end up getting an engineering degree. So those pathways in STEM are open to everybody. And then I also wanted to just highlight, I mentioned that senior year project. So this is a good example of a senior engineering capstone. This was submitted courtesy of Donovan Palmer, who was our one of our 2020 graduates. He was a double major in engineering and physics, and this was his senior capstone. He actually built a robot that you probably can't tell what it does just from looking at it, but what it's designed to do is it's designed to go to our on-campus coffee shop and pick up Donovan's coffee for him and bring it to him in the morning. So it was a problem that was near and dear to his heart. He was one of our baristas in the coffee shop. He spent a lot of time at the coffee shop, but he wanted this robot to bring him his coffee. And so that was what he designed as his senior capstone project. And then he also, because he was a double major, also took a senior seminar in physics. And this is just an image from his senior project in that department as well. So I'm going to move on to campus community. Before I do, I saw that there's another question that popped into the chat. Someone has asked, are there opportunities for students to work on campus? Yes, there absolutely are. So we do have the federal work study program. So if you are granted work study funding through your financial aid package, you're guaranteed a job on campus. If you are not offered work study, there are still plenty of opportunities for you to do a job on campus. So we do hire students. I know for sure in the admissions office, we hire a lot of students to do things like work at our front desk, be a tour guide. We have seniors who we hire who give interviews and information sessions for us. Lots of departments do hire students, and then our academic departments hire students as well. We do also offer opportunities for students to stay on campus over summers to do paid internships or research, which I will talk about a little more in a couple of slides. So talking a little bit about our campus community, I mentioned we're a small community, we're very tight-knit, and we are a primarily residential community. So in any given year, typically more than 90% of our students do live on campus with us in our housing. We do have plenty of housing available. So typically if you are a student who wants to live on campus for the 4 years, you can live on campus for the 4 years. So we are very much a living, learning community. In your first year at Trinity, you would live in what's called a nest. There are 10 nests in the Bantam network. Quick sidebar, for those of you who don't know, the Bantam is the Trinity mascot. And if you've never heard of a Bantam before, that is okay. A lot of people haven't. A Bantam is basically like a big, fancy fighting chicken, like an aggressive sort of barnyard chicken. And so they're chickens, but they're like cool chickens, if that makes sense. So we are the Trinity Bantams, that is our mascot. So we have a lot of chicken references on campus. And so in the first year at Trinity, you would live in a nest because Bantams sleep in nests. So the nests are residential cohorts. They all have different names, and there's typically about 60 students in each nest, or a little under 60 students, and all of those students live together in the same residence hall. We do nest activities with the students. We do inter-nest sort of competitions and things like that. And there's actually going to be overlap between the students who are in your nest and the students who are in your first year seminar or gateway program. So again, really, we're trying to bring the living and the learning together right from the beginning. So when you are in your residence hall, you can, go next door and knock on your next door neighbor's door and be like, hey, did you do the homework? Because that person is also in your gateway program or in your first year seminar course. So you're sort of building that network right from the beginning. In terms of activities, we do have a very vibrant campus community. We have over 140 different student clubs and organizations that you can join. And in addition to that, we do also have 30 men's and women's Division III varsity athletic teams. So we have a very active campus community, lots of students who are involved in at least one sport, one club. Most of the students that I know personally are involved in 2 or 3 activities outside of their classes. And usually they're, by the time they're in their sophomore or junior year, they're already pursuing leadership in those activity areas. That's just, it's a small campus and there's a lot to do. And so it's really easy to get into leadership positions with organizations pretty early on in your time at Trinity. I did want to highlight a couple of our STEM societies, clubs, and organizations. So we do definitely have chapters of national organizations as well as our own clubs for students who are specifically looking to be involved in STEM outside of the classroom. Doctors Without Borders is a really popular one, especially if you're thinking about pre-med. Green Campus is our group of students who are doing sort of environmental activism and trying to combat climate change. We have a chapter of the National Society of Black Engineers, as well as the Society of Women Engineers. And our sustainability committee is actually an interesting one. The students who are on the sustainability committee actually are paid as employees of the college to work with our sustainability director on making our campus more sustainable for the future and sort of reducing our carbon footprint. So if you are interested in sustainability, we are doing a lot of work in that space, and you could definitely come to Trinity and get involved either as a member of Green Campus or on the sustainability committee. Next up is when I want to talk a little bit about Hartford and the opportunities that it brings. So before I move to the next slide, let me just talk a little bit about Hartford as a city, because I find that a lot of students don't really know a lot about Hartford, and I think that makes sense. You might know New York and you might know Boston, right? Hartford is smack in the middle of where New York and Boston are. So we're about 2 hours south of the city of Boston, 2 hours north of New York City, but Hartford is very much its own metropolis. It is a smaller to mid-sized city. We have a population of a little over 150,000 people who live in Hartford. Because it's a capital city, it is the seat of state government. So the Capitol building is less than a mile away from the Trinity College campus. We have a lot of, big hospitals. We have a, extensive public school system, and a lot of businesses, both large and small, are located in Hartford. In particular, we have a lot of insurance companies. A lot of people don't know that Hartford is the insurance capital of the United States. And so pretty much any insurance company you can think of, they either have their headquarters or they have an office in Hartford, Connecticut. Certainly not the only industry in town. We do have some minor league sports teams, and we are also home to the oldest art museum in the country, which not a lot of people know. The Wadsworth Atheneum is in Hartford, and it is the oldest art museum in the United States. And so Hartford is a great city. It is a very vibrant city with a lot of opportunity. And one thing that I really want to mention, right, is it's also not a city that is really densely packed with students, right? So certainly if you go to a city like Boston or New York, there's a ton of opportunity in those cities. There's tons of companies, there's tons of activities and things going on, but those are also cities where there are lots of college and university students, right? So in terms of getting an internship, a research opportunity, things like that, it might take a little bit more work to get your foot in the door in a much more populous city, especially one that's much more populated with college students. Hartford, we have a couple of other colleges in the area, but there just simply aren't as many students vying for those opportunities. And so I will show you what this sort of translates into. So at Trinity, we have over 200 Trinity-specific internship opportunities. That means these are companies and organizations that have partnerships with us and are specifically holding spots for Trinity students to come and work with them. Some that I want to highlight that are particularly sort of STEM focused, one would be our Health Fellows program. So if you are interested in pre-med or pre-healthcare, you're thinking about healthcare professions, this might be of interest to you. Our Health Fellows program is actually, it's kind of a combination internship and research program, where students get matched up one-on-one with mentors who work in Hartford hospitals and medical centers. You actually go and you shadow your mentor, you work with them one-on-one, and so you're working with them on a regular basis, and then you're also taking a research seminar on campus with the other Health Fellows and working on a research project related to what you are seeing in the real world. Infosys is also another company that we have a partnership. So Infosys is a global information technology company. They're actually headquartered in India, but they recently built a big office in the city of Hartford, specifically because they wanted to partner with us. The leadership at Infosys really believes strongly in the liberal arts mission, and they believe that students who are educated in the liberal arts are more adaptable, I guess, for the future. And so they have a partnership with us where we send our students to intern with them and work with them. And they also can actually have their employees take some liberal arts courses with us and do some education. And so it's sort of a mutually beneficial partnership. We also have, if you're thinking about engineering, lots of companies in the area. So Otis Elevator is just outside of Hartford. Black & Decker is just outside of Hartford. So there are a lot of places that you can intern. Collins Aerospace, we've had students intern at as well. So there's a ton of opportunity in Hartford. And like I said, they're looking for Trinity students for sure. We also have more than 12 different student research programs and funds, right? So if you go to our website and just type in undergraduate research or student research, you will find a whole listing of different research opportunities for students. So a big one is our summer research program. Each year we have typically more than 100 students who stay on campus with us and take not take classes, and conduct research with our faculty members and with other students on campus. And so you basically just get matched up with a faculty member who you're interested in a project with. We also have funding for students to propose their own research projects and work on that. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity if you are interested in going more the academic research route rather than the internship route. I should mention, typically about 80%, more than 80% of our students engage in at least one internship opportunity before they graduate from Trinity, and many of them do 2 or more. Part of this is also because with us being in an urban location and right in the city, we have the ability to allow students to do internships for credit during the semester. Those internships, so if you're doing an internship for credit, typically you're not getting paid, but you are getting sort of credit for your internship towards your degree program. The Health Fellows program is a good example of that. So that is a program where students are actually getting credit towards their degree. It's such a time intensive program that it actually counts as 3 Trinity courses, and students typically only take 4 or 5 in a semester. So if you're in the Health Fellows program, you would actually take only 1 or 2 other classes at the same time while you're at Trinity. We do offer lots of opportunities for students to do summer internships as well. Those are typically paid. We have a lot of connections with companies, and we'll definitely help work with you to get those paid internships. If you do find an opportunity that you really want to take but it's unpaid, we also have funding set aside specifically to give students a stipend so that they can have money for the summer and be able to pursue that opportunity. And so we definitely want to make sure students are getting their foot in the door at the right places and not going completely unpaid. And then I want to talk a little bit more about research opportunities in Hartford. So we have a what we call the Center for Hartford Engagement and Research, abbreviated as SHARE, at Trinity. So SHARE is basically our umbrella through which we organize all of the different opportunities for students to engage really deeply with the city of Hartford. So I'll pull out a couple of examples. So one of the things that SHARE runs is our Liberal Arts Action Lab. The Liberal Arts Action Lab is actually a physical space in downtown Hartford. So it's a little bit away from our main campus, but it's not very far at all. It's a physical space where students from Trinity can come together with students from Capital Community College to actually work on projects that have been proposed by Hartford residents and organizations. So these are not projects that we made up so that college students could learn something. These are actually real problems, research problems that the city of Hartford wants to look into. They want to try to address it and find a solution. So our students get to work directly with community members, organizations, and stakeholders on solving these problems for the city of Hartford. And so being involved in a research project through the Liberal Arts Action Lab is also technically a class. So you could be doing that for credit. We also, Share also organizes all of what we call our community learning courses. Community learning courses are really common at Trinity. So what this is it's basically a class that you would take at Trinity on the Trinity campus, but a component of the class requires you to get off campus or to engage with the Hartford community in some way. So it could be that you're going to visit a specific organization you might have been learning about, or engaging with a community you might have been learning about, or trying to address a problem directly in the city of Hartford that you've been learning about in class. Community learning courses span all disciplines. So we have community learning courses that you can engage with across all of our different sort of majors and programs. And typically about a third of Trinity students take at least one community learning course before they graduate. So this is something that our students are definitely engaging with. And we really do encourage students to utilize the city to get those real world experiences, right? Learning does not just happen in the classroom. It doesn't just happen, in seminars or from reading textbooks or writing papers. Or in labs. Learning happens out in the world, and we want students to really be making those connections all through their 4 years at Trinity. Hartford is very much a part of who we are as an institution. We are very much a part of Hartford. It's a big part of our identity. And I mention that because often, I mentioned this early on, and I'll kind of expand on what I said earlier. Oftentimes people will ask me, what makes Trinity unique? What makes Trinity different from other liberal arts colleges? And usually what I say is the location, right? The fact that we are an urban liberal arts college is very much, it's the lifeblood of who we are. And, we have in our peer group, right, particularly our peer group for athletics, which is NESCAC, the New England Small College Athletic Conference. Those are probably other schools that you're familiar with. So Bates, Bowdoin, Colby, Amherst, Conn College, Wesleyan, right, to name a few. Many of those colleges are also small liberal arts colleges that are in some ways very similar to Trinity. You're going to get great holistic academics. You're going to get a lot of opportunities to do things like studying away and engaging in clubs and organizations and having those small class sizes. But most of our peer institutions tend to be set in more suburban or rural areas. And so I think our location in Hartford is really the big differentiator and the thing that sets us apart. And being able to give our students just an abundance of opportunity to take what they're learning in the classroom, whether they're a STEM student or any other type of student, and take it out into the real world through internships, research, community learning courses, and what have you. And not to mention, it's fun to be in a city because there's always cool things to do, like go to restaurants and, minor league baseball games. We have live theater and all of that good stuff that comes with being in an urban area as well. So last thing that I'll touch upon before I go to more questions is just a little bit about our admissions and financial aid process. This isn't a comprehensive overview. This is really just, I want to highlight a couple of key points for you. So in terms of admissions, we do accept the common application. That is the one and only way to apply to Trinity College right now. And we do practice holistic review at Trinity, which means that when we read your application, we read the entire thing from start to finish. And we are really trying to get to know you as a person. So we're not just looking at 1 or 2 quick stats and making a decision, right? So we're not just looking at your grades and saying yes or no. We really are trying to understand the whole you. Who are you in this moment? Who are you becoming? And who do you have the potential to become really at Trinity? We are a test optional college. We have been test optional since 2015, so we do not require standardized testing for you to apply to Trinity. That's something that's not new to us. It's not going to change. So if you have SAT or ACT scores to share and you would like to share them with us, you certainly can, but you don't need to submit them to apply to Trinity. We require 1 letter of recommendation that can come from either a counselor or a teacher, anyone who can speak to your academic experiences in the classroom. And we automatically waive the application fee for all first-generation college students. So if you are first in your family to go to college, it is free to apply to Trinity. I will mention if you need a fee waiver for any other reason, but you're not a first-gen student, please let us know, because typically we can waive that fee if we need to. We don't ever want money to be a barrier to you applying to Trinity. And then the last thing I'll mention related to admissions is that we have two different types of deadlines. So you can apply early decision to Trinity or regular decision. Early decision is a binding agreement. So if you've decided Trinity is my number one, I absolutely want to go to Trinity and I'm totally committed to going there if I get admitted, I would encourage you to think about applying for an early decision deadline. We actually have two ED rounds. So one has a November deadline, the other is in January. And typically when you apply early decision, you'd get an answer back from us in about a month or so. Our regular decision is non-binding. So if you're, not totally sure that Trinity is your number one, or you just feel like you would like to have more time to decide whether you'd like to enroll at Trinity or not, you would apply regular decision in January and you would hear back from us typically by mid-March. In terms of financial aid, we are committed to meeting full calculated need for all students through our need-based aid program. So we're trying as hard as we can to make a Trinity education affordable for the students who come to us. We do also offer merit scholarships as part of our aid packages. The great news about that is there is no separate application or action required on your part in order to be considered for merit scholarships. We hand select our merit scholarship winners directly from our applicant pool. So just by applying to Trinity, you're automatically going to be in consideration for any of the merit scholarships that we offer. That is the end of my formal presentation at this time. You have my contact information up on the screen. I encourage you to grab it. Feel free to take a picture of it if you'd like to, because I'm always happy to hear from you in the future. I do have another question that has come in, and I'm open to taking other questions right now. So if you do have other questions, please feel free to put those in through the Q&A. The question that did come in is, can I please touch upon our pre-health program? Yes, absolutely. So at Trinity, we have a group that we call HPAC, which is our Healthcare Professions Advising Committee. This is a group of faculty and staff members who are committed to guiding our pre-health or pre-med students through all of the requirements and all of the preparation that they would need to go on to graduate study in the healthcare fields. So if you are interested in being pre-med or pre-health at Trinity, all you really need to do is raise your hand and tell the HPAC group, I'm interested, I want to go pre-health, I want to be a pre-health student, I'm interested in healthcare, and they will assign you an advisor in that group. So basically every HPAC student has an advisor, an academic advisor in their major. So say you're a biology major. So you would have a biology department advisor, and you would also have an HPAC advisor. And you would work with both of them to make sure that you're getting the requirements done that you need for your major in biology, while also getting any pre-med or pre-health requirements and preparation done that you would need to go into the program of your choice. Our medical school placement rate or healthcare programs placement rate out of Trinity is over 80%. So of the students who work with that HPAC group, typically 80% or more of them do get into the programs that they apply to for medical school or any other nursing programs, dental programs, and so on. If you are one of the students who's deemed the most highly qualified by our HPAC group, typically your chances of acceptance to medical school are above 90%. So we have great pre-health advising. We definitely, if you come to Trinity and are interested in healthcare, you'd be in great company. Again, being in that urban environment, you have access to our partnerships with Hartford hospitals and medical centers. So we, and we have one of the hospitals is actually right down the road. So we actually have students who intern there who just walk to the hospital for their internships. So definitely some great opportunities in the healthcare space. Any other questions for me? Questions? Please feel free to submit them through the chat. And I will say again, please feel free to grab my information. I'm certainly happy to continue the conversation after today if you have more questions about Trinity, about STEM opportunities in particular. I do think Trinity is a great place to study STEM, again, because you have those rigorous programs, but also the flexibility. When I think about the typical Trinity STEM student, I think about it as STEM plus or STEM and, right? So if you're the type of student who, yes, you want STEM, but you also want to get that well-rounded experience, you want to have the internships, you want to do research opportunities, studying away, maybe you want to play a sport, right? You want to have that full, comprehensive, well-rounded college experience. Definitely, oops, that's a different presentation slide. That's my bad. And so definitely feel free to follow up with me if you have any other questions or want to talk more. I did have a question here. What does HPAC stand for again? Good question. It stands for Healthcare Professions Advising Committee. Healthcare Professions Advising Committee. Actually, if you go to the Trinity website and go to the search bar and just type in HPAC, it will probably come up. Or you can type in pre-health, pre-med, healthcare, anything along those lines, it will probably come up right away in the search results. So you can definitely take a look at the HPAC site, and they have resources for you to look at about our different internship opportunities and the professors who are in that advising group as well. Any other final questions? We're coming up on our time a little. So I don't see any other questions coming in the chat. I think that if there are no other questions, it's probably okay for us to wrap up I think 4 minutes early at this point. But thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciated having this opportunity to share a little bit more about Trinity with you. Like I said, please, I'm not joking. Please email me if you have other questions. Even if you don't have questions right now, please save my contact information. If you're on the Trinity website later and you can't find what you're looking for and you just need some help finding more information, please let me know. I'm always happy to connect again or to chat further about STEM opportunities. So please feel free to stay in touch, and thank you so much for your time. I know everyone is feeling a little bit of Zoom fatigue, so I really appreciate you taking this time to spend with me on Zoom for this presentation. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Emily, for also taking the time to share information about Trinity College with all of us today. And certainly we want to thank all of our attendees for joining us. We hope you got some good information out of this presentation. Before we wrap up this session, just a few quick housekeeping items. When you close this window, you will receive a very quick 4-question survey that we ask that you take a minute and complete. Again, there is one other block of sessions this evening as well as sessions tomorrow, so please do sign up for those if you haven't already done so. And about 1 week from today, a recording of the session will be available on that same registration website. But thank you again to everyone for joining us. Good luck in your college search and have a great evening.